Are you ready to turn your potential into performance? If so, you're in the right place. This is the Coach Brew Show, and here's your host, John Brubaker.
It's the death of civilization as we know it. Welcome to the Coach Brew Podcast, Performance Report, episode number 512. Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible. You can get a free audiobook download and a 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/coachbrew. There's over 180,000 titles to choose from, including 3 of my books, Stadium Status, Seeds of Success, and The Coach Approach. You can choose from all those titles for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Again, that's audibletrial.com/coachbrew. The death of civilization as we know it. So we're talking about today because I learned a new word this week, or should I say a new term, and that term is TLDR. What does TLDR stand for? Well, I'm glad you asked that. Apparently it's an acronym for too long didn't read. Okay, now let me give you a little context. Jake Kowalczyk, who's a visionary CEO, friend and colleague of mine, saw my recent article titled One Step at a Time, which I shared on Facebook, and he commented the following. This is Jake's comment. How are there only 4 likes on this? Seriously? ? You've basically encapsulated the blueprint for success in life and business in a few short paragraphs. Keywords, a few short paragraphs, folks. He then shared my article on LinkedIn with the following comments, which is how I learned TLDR was even a thing. So this is Jake's LinkedIn post. Normally, I TLDR my posts here because your collective attention spans are basically garbage. Not this time. If you read nothing else today, hell, this week, make sure it's this. John Brubaker knocked it out of the park. All your hacks are lies. Working smarter simply means working harder on the things that matter. It's going to be difficult, so embrace the suck. This is the best free advice you're ever going to get. And then he includes a link to my article, One Step at a Time. So as I'm reading his LinkedIn post, I'm thinking, TLDR, what does that mean? TLDR. Tried to figure it out. I couldn't. I had to look it up. So I went and visited that scholarly journal, urbandictionary.com, and I saw the definition. I was floored. But TLDR is what a lot of society really has become. I realize that. Only I think the acronym really means too lazy. Doesn't read. Now, if that offends you, I'm not sorry. I'm actually sorry for you. Too often, I overhear people say, I don't have enough time to read. If you've ever said the same thing, I can fix that for you, okay? Stop watching TV and put down your not-so-smartphone. There. Now you do have enough time to read. You're welcome. Sadly today, though, people would rather be entertained than educated. Case in point, Jake's LinkedIn post sharing my article, which he said, quote, was the best free advice you're ever going to get. Well, that LinkedIn post got 8 likes. A meme he shared immediately before that got 82 likes. 82. Yeah. People would rather be entertained than educated. And I think that is, when I started the show with the title, The Death of Civilization as We Know It, I think that is the death of civilization as we know it. Intellectual laziness is destroying our country. And I share all this with you because it's also destroying your team's results if you allow it. You see, words create worlds. Literally. Now, imagine how different our world would be If the founding fathers thought that maybe, Declaration of Independence or, say, the U.S. Constitution was going to be TLDR, so they didn't write it. There is a disturbing lack of depth in thinking and a shortened attention span. So if you're keeping score at home, that's 315 words I've used thus far, and we're at the 5-minute and 30-second mark. So I share this with you because, my content strategy, my content in general is changing, and this is me letting you know it. So my blog posts, my newsletter, I'm basically doubling down on the fact that words do matter, and they still have value today. So I'm narrowing my focus. I'm narrowing my audience to those who aren't, quote, TLDR predisposed, we could call it, because those are the folks who are enlightened enough to know that leaders are readers. And if you're listening to this and you're investing the time to listening to a podcast or listening to an audiobook, that counts too. Leaders are readers, leaders are listeners. So I'm doubling down, I'm narrowing my focus because I have to walk my talk. When I wrote about and I talk about in Stadium Status about focusing on your fanatics, well, I darn well better be practicing what I preach. If I'm going to talk about it, I got to be about it. So if you're listening to this and you're a subscriber to what has been my free weekly newsletter, the Performance Report, this podcast is basically a audio narrated version of my newsletter. It has been, I should say. So if you're fanatical about my weekly newsletter, the Performance Report, and its value, you'll be happy to know it'll be available to you as a subscription service. Kind of like a premium subscription service. Now, if you're a casual reader and subscriber to my newsletter or my blog and just like free content, this is me letting you know you're going to be receiving far less communication from me. The free newsletter is moving to a monthly. I'm sorry. I've got to focus on the fanatics. I'm sure you understand. So next week, I'm launching an online community called Yesterday's Underdogs. More on that next week. It's an online community for those who wish to continue to receive the level of value I've been providing, and they want to continue to receive that on a weekly basis. So basically, it's an opportunity for you to do what Bill Gates, Oprah, Warren Buffett, and a whole lot of other billionaires all do. They practice what I call the 60-minute rule. Stadium Status leaders invest a minimum of an hour, 60 minutes, a day in learning. Here's a few billion reasons why you ought to do the same thing. Nike founder Phil Knight respects his personal library so much that you have to take off your shoes and bow to go in it. Ben Franklin read for an hour every day from 12 to 1 p.m. Microsoft CEO Bill Gates reads 50 books a year. Home Depot co-founder and owner of the Atlanta Falcons, Arthur Blank, reads 2 hours a day. Facebook creator Mark Zuckerberg reads a book every 2 weeks. Dallas Mavericks owner, Shark Tank celebrity, and billionaire Mark Cuban reads 3 hours a day. Billionaire David Rubenstein reads 6 books a week. Couple more here. Elon Musk read 2 books a day growing up as a kid. Cleveland Cavaliers owner Dan Gilbert reads 1 to 2 hours a day, and Warren Buffett spends, get this, 5 to 6 hours a day reading a variety of publications. So my question for you is, when do you schedule reading into your day? If you want to get stadium status in your business, you need to realize that your level of financial growth will always be a reflection of your level of personal and professional growth. So to quote the late, great Charlie Tremendous Jones, late, great author and member of the Motivational Speaking Hall of Fame, Charlie Tremendous Jones, you will be the same person in 5 years as you are today, except for the people you meet and the books you read. So a little food for thought to get you out of here. Do you even know or have any idea how much time the people on your team, your employees, the folks you lead, spend each day learning, reading, educating themselves, training, developing themselves professionally? Because if you've hit a plateau or your results have hit a ceiling, look no further than that. The amount of learning you and your team engage in on a daily basis. So more on this online community that I'm launching next week in the podcast. Until then, make it a great week, and feel free to leave a comment, rate, or review the podcast in iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you are consuming this. And we'll catch you next week.
Thanks for listening to The Coach Brew Show. If you're not currently subscribed to the podcast, sign up now on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. And for more information to turn your potential into performance, head on over to coachbrew.com now.